Welcome back to Big Mouth and welcome to Friday's edition of the dceu Daily. I'm tired. Are you tired? I bet you are. Day after day, minute after minute, hour after hour. As DC fans who should be excited about the future of this live action universe, we are pelted with negative story after negative story about Warner Brothers and Warner Brothers Pictures and Warner Media, Ray Fisher, and that saga goes on and on and on and on. I was going to do a different type of video, but I decided to delete it. Why? Because I wanted to come to you all as a fan and tell you how unbalanced and depressed I feel again about all of this. It is an absolute tragedy that Ray Fisher's Cyborg won't be in Flashpoint, an avoidable situation. The DCEU from its inception was run by a bunch of people pulling in different directions, not willing to compromise their position. Who gets hurt in the end? Us, the fans. I genuinely love Man of Steel, and I genuinely love Batman vs Superman, and I genuinely think that studio cut of Suicide Squad is okay. It's a good little team up, but it's not what David Ayer foresaw. So from the very beginning, since Suicide Squad, we have been going backwards. A studio scared about a divisive reaction, trying to catch Marvel, trying to be different. The culmination of Justice League. And it's gone on and on and on. It's like a domino. And the more you push them, the more they fall. A public war of words between Ray Fisher and Walter Hamada, the president, the DC president, the DC Films president. And it just goes on. Every day there's something new. I must admit, I've been kind of frustrated with Ray. I agree with him. He's right. There is a toxicity within Warner Brothers Pictures. What they did to Zack was wrong. What they did during the shoot of Justice League was wrong. People should be held to account. But this is Hollywood. This is big business. And this is not the way it works. Us getting the Snyder Cut to be released, supporting Zack, working with Zack together, normally doesn't happen. It was a groundbreaking blue touch paper moment. It should have been a moment of celebration. I believe that Ray Fisher was justified to fight for an investigation into the events of Justice League. He got his investigation. He got his justice. We got our justice. We've been fighting to restore the Snyder Cut ever since. But it's an impossible mission, boys and girls and everyone else. We now are in a situation, a sad situation, where we may have the devolving of the Snyderverse while we've been fighting to restore the Snyderverse. So I'm tired, and I know you're tired, and I know many of you are calling for a Flashpoint boycott and a boycott of anything involving Walter Hamada. I know Hamada's no angel. I know he's no supervillain either. But as fans, how do we proceed? What do we do next? It's tiring. Going on Twitter, and I must admit, I've been pretty clear on Twitter today. Although I agree with Ray, I'm kind of tired of him a little bit as well. Not because he's wrong, not because I don't agree with him. And obviously, he's going to keep on fighting. But he's not going to be Cyborg anymore. Which is so sad. And I know that Ray's sad about this. And I'm sad about this. Everyone's sad about this. And everyone has different opinions how to go at this. My advice going forward, and I would never tell anyone not to boycott. I would never tell anyone what they should do. I won't be boycotting Flashpoint or the future. I think the multiverse strategy is the right way to go. I always assumed they were doing this so we could have everything. The Snyderverse, the Central Universe, everything. Matt Reeves' universe, everything going forward. The Ray Fisher situation complicates everything. Everything. And we are now in a position as fans not knowing where to go. The Karate Kid fans, Cobra Kai, are happy. Things are working. Maybe Star Wars is pushing forward in the right way. And the MCU always seems to please its fandom. Hey, even Arrowverse fans seem to be always content and happy. But not us. We are in a mire of destruction. Destruction constantly with this live action franchise. This film franchise that should be celebrated, but it's not. Since Man of Steel, we've been climbing up with the rope ladder cut from us every time. And we keep on falling. And I don't know how to proceed. I don't know how to proceed with this channel. It's difficult. What do I say? What do I do without antagonizing a group of people? Me, my views and my opinions are that I want to embrace what Hamada is doing. I want to watch it all. I want to enjoy it. I do want the Snyderverse to be restored. I want that to be part of the multiverse strategy going forward. Will it? Won't it? We don't know what's going to happen now. Will they dissolve the Snyderverse in Flashpoint? That would be a huge thing, wouldn't it? A huge, emotional, heartbreaking moment that they would go forward without including the Snyderverse, the verse that started this whole thing. It would be heartbreaking. And I think about the Ray Fisher situation, and we just don't know what's going to happen next. Ray Fisher wrote a whole statement, as we know. He said that that Walter Hamada isn't fit to be DC film president. I don't know Walter Hamada, but the thing I gauge from insiders, from directors and people who have worked with him, that he's a good guy, normally. This is my opinion about Hamada. He came in after Justice League to tackle an impossible situation where he had to please everyone, the studio, the fans. He had to restore Zack Snyder's Justice League. He had to kind of please this mainstream universe, these hardcore DC fans. And it's difficult. So Ray Fisher, after the Snyder Cut was greenlit, came to him, insisted on an investigation and told him his opinion on Jeff Johns. Now, I believe Walter Hamada must have been in intense pressure from the studio not to knock on the Jeff Johns door. Why? Why is Jeff Johns so protected? Because Jeff Johns isn't like Joss Whedon. He isn't merely an employee. He's a partner. It's very difficult to dissolve these agreements and arrangements. I have no doubt that Walter Hamada knows Jeff Johns' part in all of this. We even know from Diane Nelson that clearly Jeff Johns isn't exactly singing on the side of the angels. We know that. We know that nobody's perfect in this. No one. It could have been handled better. What's sad for me that this is so public. It's really hard to stand DC and their franchises and everything they do when everything is so public. The toxicity is so public. While I see the MCU get along with their business, no matter what's going on behind the scenes. We had Kevin Feige with the original director of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. We saw Scott Derrickson on a convention say that it would be a bit dark and it would be a bit scary. And live at this convention, Kevin Feige contradicted him. A few months down the road, Derrickson wasn't directing the Doctor Strange movie anymore. But very few things were said about it because of who was going to replace him. And everyone began to become very excited. So the level of toxicity we get in the DCEU isn't everywhere. You know, what goes on in the DCEU isn't typical of the entertainment industry. But the entertainment industry is a business, and it can be corrupt and it can be toxic, and horrible things happen. And normally these things don't come to light. Now, Ray Fisher is bringing these things to light. Now, personally, I always felt uncomfortable with the public kind of examination Ray Fisher had of Walter Hamada, because it was always my opinion that Walter Hamada was a good guy, and he was a good guy to have run this franchise. I don't know anymore. I don't know. His DCEU has been a mixed bag. I think he got involved with Aquaman and he kind of steered the ship, but it was already in production anyway. Shazam didn't make as much money as Aquaman, but he still steered that film home. I think it's an okay movie. It's not a classic, but it's an okay movie. Joker movie is a great movie. Rumours that Walter wasn't very confident about that movie and different people had to invest in it, but he had to have greenlit it for it to happen. So, and then you've got obviously Wonder Woman 84 and you've got Birds of Prey, which obviously had major issues, especially Birds of Prey. Behind the scenes, that film was problematic, but normally all films, even your favourite films, have issues behind the scenes. So it's very difficult to gauge. And then you've got James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, which I'm really excited about. I expect that film to go down really well, and Hamada and Saffron are going to both have their names on it, especially Saffron. So, look, it's difficult for me, and I must admit, I've been quite toxic on Twitter about this. I haven't been very, very complimentary to Ray Fisher, because although I agree with him, I understand where he's coming from. He's bringing things to light that put something that I stand and I'm a fan of under the spotlight. This is not what I want. I just want to look forward to my movies, especially my DC movies. And what Ray Fisher is doing, he's making that really, really difficult and uncomfortable. And now he's not Cyborg anymore. What do I do with that? What's going to happen next? Are the Justice League cast going to come out and back him? Is Zack going to publicly come out and back him? Well, they haven't thus far, but people in America are just waking up right now as I do this video. And so I'm just in a bit of a mess up here and in here, because it's difficult. You've got certain fans baying for blood, baying for Warner Brothers Pictures blood, still want to see physical justice to Jeff Johns. They want to see him out. And now they're going for Walter Hamada. They want him out. Now today, already, Ann Sarnoff has publicly backed Walter Hamada. So he's not going anywhere, and they're not going to change their minds about this. And they claim he didn't tamper with the Justice League investigation. Ray Fisher claims that he did. What do we do with that? Who do you believe? It's difficult. Again, the kind of bureaucratic entity in studios is very corrupt. They will say anything to protect themselves. I'm not blind to that. I understand that. It's so difficult. What I really want to do on these videos is talk about the future, talk about the movies, and get excited. But it seems with the DCEU, we come up against a wall. Problem after problem after problem. We had the divisive reaction to Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman. Again, two films I really like. Then we had critics hating on Suicide Squad. Wonder Woman was well received. Justice League was a mess. So we had a negative situation there. Aquaman went down well. Shazam was kind of okay. Then we've got Birds of Prey and Wonder Woman 84. So again, we're back to where we started from. It seems like we can't catch a break. And it's difficult for people. It's, you know, they see Ray Fisher, an everyday working class actor, coming out, telling them things, telling them that it's wrong, telling them that he wants to do something about it. And as I say, I've been kind of negative about him on Twitter because of the position he's putting me in. Again, not because I believe he's wrong. I just want everything to be perfect. I want everyone to get on and I want everyone to be friends so we can look forward to this magnificent, unique franchise. I want Zach to be put in place over on HBO Max so he can do his thing. I want a great, exciting central verse that the mainstream and the diehard DC fans can enjoy. I want my cake and eat it. I want everything. I want everyone to be happy. But you can't please everyone. But the moment you stop trying to please everyone is the time you should get out of dodging this game. And credit to Walter Hamada and Peter Safran. Within the multiverse strategy, they're trying to find a way to please everyone. And it was going so well. You see, the investigation that Ray was pushing for was the right thing. But now we've got this war between the DC Films president and Ray Fisher. And it never ends. And it gets bigger and bigger and more public. And for me, DC is like part of me. It's like it's part of my DNA. So I get embarrassed every time these things are made public. And I get upset because I think we're never seeing an ending. When will this end? It never will. Ray's not going to back down. Warner Media clearly are going to back their man. Now, according to Ray Fisher, Warner Media were backing him. They were talking to him. They were the good guys here. But now, Warner Media have come out centrally and backed Walter Hamada. And he's not going anywhere to 2023. And as I've said before, it all depends on how Flashpoint does. That's the big thing. That's the thing with his name on it. It's his thing. From the very beginning he came here, he had an inception of the worlds of DC, which is the multiverse strategy. Now, as I say, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad more than likely is going to be successful, and that will be a win for Walter. We've also been told by Anne Sarnoff that the DC live-action universe will all be connected. And she's talking about the TV, the Arrowverse, the HBO Max stuff, and the film universe, all connected. So it's a pretty exciting strategy. And, you can get excited maybe that Zack Snyder's, universe can be part of that connected universe as well. And that's all we wanted from the moment Zack Snyder's Justice League was announced. But the Ray Fisher situation complicates everything. Just to think of him not involved makes me really sad. I personally feel that he got his investigation. He got what he wanted. He got justice. Yeah, if Hamada was messing with the investigation, I understand his frustration, but I think it should have ended there. And now it's never going to end. Because Ray Fisher seems to me that he wants to bring down Warner Brothers Pictures. He wants to bring down Walter Hamada. And what's the likelihood of that? Let's be honest. I like a good fight. I like power to the people. I don't like to back down. I don't like saying, oh, you shouldn't boycott this or don't do this because it won't work. I don't like that. I'm a socialist. I believe in the fight. A good fight and a good cause. But also when I look at the Ray Fisher situation, I see something else. That sometimes you've got to quit while you're ahead. I remember when I was dating this girl, I used to hang out with her family. I was living with her family. We used to go to Catford Dogs. I won 60 quid. I didn't want to bet anymore. They laughed at me. We played poker one night. I won 500 quid off the lot of them. I said, I'm going to bed now. No, that's not etiquette with gambling. You've got to give us a chance to win our money back. No, I've won 500 quid. Why would I give you a fucking opportunity to win your money back, right? That's who I am. And I believe Ray Fisher won big with that investigation. So before he called out Walter Hamada, everything was okay. He was never going to lose his job. He lost his job because of the public scrutiny he put on Walter Hamada. And I think anyone knows when you go against your boss in life, it isn't going to end up very well. But the words that he said about him cannot be taken back. Well, they could be taken back, but Ray's not going to take it back. A lot of people see Ray as a hero. I think he's very brave to do it. He clearly doesn't find his career as an actor that important to back down. And that's very brave as well. But you know what? My priority isn't Ray Fisher. It isn't Warner Brothers Pictures. It's the DC fans. It's DC fans that make doing videos, going on Twitter, worthwhile. It really is. It's the excitement we felt and all the stuff we were posting on Twitter and the videos we did on here when Zack Snyder's Justice League was announced. Fandom, when we were all so excited about so many things. Flashpoint, Zack Snyder's Justice League, the sizzle reel of James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. Oh boy, was it an exciting day. And that day presented us full of possibilities. So many possibilities. And I thought, this is it. Warner Brothers have got a head up of Feige and Marvel. He was keeping quiet. They weren't doing anything. They didn't have any conventions. Fandom was a great idea. I thought this was going to be the beginning of a great future. By the way, I still believe the DC live action universe is best served with this multiverse strategy. And I'm still extremely excited. But I want you to imagine how I feel. And I know how you feel as well. Going onto Twitter, since Ray Fisher made that big statement. I mean, he's making big statements all the time. And listening to people saying, boycott Flashpoint. Now that cuts me deep. That cuts me so deep. Because I can't do that. Because I'm so excited about this stuff. But I know there's a possibility that they could delete the whole of the Snyderverse in that film as part of the multiverse strategy. That will upset me and that will disappoint me. But as a DC fan, because I got into this before Zack Snyder ever made a DC film. You know, I've been a DC stan, a Superman stan especially, since Superman the movie, as most of you know. And it's difficult. I can't turn my back on these movies in this exciting future. I can't. Now, if you want to do that, you don't need my permission. You can do whatever you want. That's what life's about. We live in a democracy. It's free. You can do anything that you want. But I am in the middle of a difficult position. Someone who's been a DC fan since he was a child, dreaming of Justice League movies and dreaming of a Flashpoint movie, and we're getting it all. And we're getting an awesome Suicide Squad movie by one of the best directors in the game, in the industry. No question about it. No matter how you feel about Warner Brothers Pictures, James Gunn will make a great movie. And you know that, deep down. So as I say, I can't tell you what to do. And some of you are just here for Zack. I get it. I understand. But there's where it's such a complicated franchise, isn't it? And it's just a complicated set of fandoms. I follow and talk to people who will stand anything with the DC logo on it. Now, I won't do that. If I don't like something, it doesn't matter. I will be honest about it. I stand Smallville for years, but I felt the series finale was an absolute betrayal of Al Miles' vision. And I still believe that. I still believe Chloe and Oliver being a couple was a despicable betrayal, that they shouldn't have killed off Jimmy Olsen. And that was a better partnership for Chloe. The way they ended Chloe's story, I could go on and on and on. So I was angry about how they ended that show, because that show was fantastic for 7 seasons. So we've all got these frustrations as fans. But this is different. This is about a studio and their actions, because everything they do wrong is made public all the time. So there's no escape from it. And Ray Fisher expects us to help him bring down Warner Brothers Pictures. I suppose to boycott Flashpoint. I suppose he'd like that. I don't know. But I can't do that. And it hurts me. I think you all know how much I love DC. You know that I'm not making any money from these videos. You know that not many people watch these videos. In fact, I'm about to cook me and my father dinner. And I'm interrupting that. We're going to have our dinner late now because I had to make this video. I literally was going to post something else about a Flashpoint villain theory. But I'm not going to put that video up. And I'm not going to put my aggressive video up about Ray Fisher. I'm not putting that up. That was me being frustrated with the situation. I actually agree with the guy. I think he's right. But there's no victory to be had here. Not really. And as I said last week, the only people that actually get hurt are us, the fans. It's always us that get hurt, that are robbed. If Zack Snyder's Justice League is brought down by Flashpoint, we get hurt. And it didn't have to be this way. Because in life sometimes you have to be constructive with people who are your enemies. Zack Snyder got his film released. And all of us had to do was play nice. keep on hashtagging, keep on tweeting, being polite, being constructive, we could have got everything we wanted. We still may be able to restore the Snyderverse. But now with Ray Fisher coming out and saying he's not in Flashpoint, that's like wave the red rag to the bull. Now everyone's divided again. This is what always happens. Everyone's divided, and it breaks my heart because the announcement of Zack Snyder's Justice League, the announcement of fandom, the announcement of Flashpoint, the announcement of the multiverse strategy should have united us, because that's the thing that was going to give everyone something to love, right? So there didn't have to be a fight about the Warner Brothers Pictures side or Zack Snyder's side. We could have all said, you know what, mate? I don't like what you like. You don't like what I like. But we're all going to get our own way now. We're all going to get something that we love. We're like children where our parents all bought us something we liked for Christmas, and we don't have to snatch what our brothers or sisters have got. So this could have been a moment of unification. But now we're not in a moment of unification. We all have different points of view and come from different places. Ray Fisher can't live with what happened on the Justice League set. Ray Fisher insisted in getting justice, and he did. Now, Ray Fisher can't live with the fact that Walter Hamada allegedly messed with the Justice League investigation. And I understand the problem is, Ray, the more you dig, the more negativity and toxicity you bring to the situation. I don't know if you'll win. I don't know if you'll bring down Walter Hamada. But my guess is, with the studio, and I'm not talking about Warner Brothers Pictures, the actual company that owns Warner Brothers Pictures is saying, you know what, enough's enough. Ray's even told us that Jeff Johns will be pushed out the company. He's now accusing Jeff Johns of racist behaviour. Now, as a writer and a comic book writer, Johns is amazing. But if he was indeed racist to anyone, he deserves to lose his job. But it's pretty clear from what Ray's saying that Johns is going to be finished, but he's going to be slowly moved out the company. So again, we should all be happy about that. No one should be racist. No one should be abusive. And Ray's right. No one should have to beg and push and manoeuvre for justice or for people to work in a good and fair environment. That's great. But that shouldn't be our responsibility as fans. Our responsibility should be turning the on switch, pressing play, and making our minds up on the product that we're being given. That's it. But we are being forced to be in a deeper position to get involved with what's going on behind the scenes. You know, I come from a different environment. I grew up with Rocky movies. I mean, a lot of people hate Rocky 5. I should do a video on Rocky because I want to talk about that franchise so much. But a lot of people didn't like Rocky 5. I was disappointed that we just had a street fight, but that street fight is awesome, by the way. But the toxicity wasn't high because we appreciated Stallone and we knew that he had an idea. That was his idea to end it all. And I think it was a pretty good ending, even though he came back with Rocky Balboa, which was even better. And I think that fixed a lot of problems that people had with Rocky 5. But nobody was ever toxic to Stallone because Stallone, his heart's in the right place, and we know that. And I think what's happened now with the DC Extended Universe, that every time we think we're treading water, we're treading cement. And as I say, I'm totally lost, and I want you to comment down below and tell me what you think about it. And you know, if I've been a bit toxic about Ray on Twitter, I apologise. But I'm just a passionate person that doesn't want all this stuff, just wants to enjoy their stuff, you know. And so I react with my heart, as you probably can tell. I speak from the heart. My heart is passion for storytelling, acting, watching movies, TV dramas. That's my passion. That's why on Twitter I call myself @MoviesTVMad, because I'm mad about this stuff and I'm passionate. I want us all to go back to enjoying our DC. But it's not going to end well for us, is it, as fans? Because when Flashpoint happens, who knows what the DC universe is actually going to look like? Will Zack's Snyderverse survive? One thing's for sure, we can keep on fighting to restore the Snyderverse. Warner Media know there's money to be made from the Snyderverse. We know that. He made 2 beautiful films, and I'm sure his Justice League movie is going to be just as awesome and as epic, and as a director as talented as that should have a corner to play in with the DC universe. Of course, we don't know if Zack's had enough. You know, Imagine being Zack, all the toxicity, people sending him messages constantly about this fan doing this or these people wanting credit. You know, if I was Zack Snyder, I'd be so fucking fed up of the whole thing. All he wanted was some support to get his film released, and we gave him that. And he gave us a lot of information as well that helped us on our way of doing that. I wouldn't blame him if he just walked away and went to Netflix. It's very complicated. It's very depressing. It's very toxic. And you do feel as a fan that you don't know what's going to happen next. And as I say, I did do a really angry video about Ray. And it's not because I don't like him. It's not because I don't respect him. But what he's doing is bringing everything down. And as a DC fan, that's not fair. I'm not saying he's wrong to do it. I'm just saying it's not fair. It's simply not fair because I just want to enjoy this stuff. I want to look forward to the future movies. And there's too many factions, not just in fandoms, but in the actual studio itself. You got Warner Brothers Pictures, you got Patty Jenkins. Whose side's she on? Warner Brothers Pictures, Warner Media's, Zack Snyder's. Well, it looks like she has issues with Snyder, even though publicly she's very supportive of him, because look what she did with Wonder Woman 84. She tried to get away from Snyder's vision as much as possible. So there's a thing. So there's toxicity going on amongst the creatives, amongst the executives at the studio and at DC. Some comic book writers have came out and been very critical towards Zack getting the movie out as well. They weren't happy about that. Everywhere you look, there's toxicity. And it's really, really upsetting. It really is. And I don't have any definitive, I don't know what to say and do anymore. Because all I can do now, basically the only position I can take is say, I love this franchise, warts and all, even the problems with it. I love it. I want it to continue. I want them to have a future of a multiverse strategy that works for everyone, including Snyder fans, including DC hardcore fans. You know that I've been very consistent about that since the multiverse strategy has been announced. Well, so before I go, I want to leave it in a positive place. So Scott Edwards has asked me what I think of Black Mask being in Batwoman. I like Black Mask in The Birds of Prey and The Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. It's a shame they use toxic masculinity to energise that character and that commentary. I can only see them doing the same thing in Batwoman. By the way, I've just been told about an hour or so ago on Twitter that we are not getting the Batwoman and Superman and Lois crossover. So that's not happening now, apparently because of COVID and different reasons. So I'm assuming what's going to replace that is the Diggle crossover on Superman and Lois, because he's going to be in at least one episode of each Arrowverse show. So they said the crossovers are not possible because they can't mix the crews. So that's including the actors. So it's very difficult for them right now. So that's not going to happen. But we still get in Arrowverse, which is positive. And one more thing, talking about Flashpoint earlier, I do have a supervillain theory, and that is this. Reverse Flash is going to go around all the Earths in the multiverse, collecting villains, persuading them to help him bring down the multiverse or invade the multiverse or control the multiverse, dominate the multiverse, conquer the multiverse, if you like. That's my theory, and I think this will start in Flashpoint, but you'll get this basically, how can I explain it? Yeah. So every post-credit scene after Flashpoint, you'll get some scenes of, him going around recruiting other villains from the multiverse. That's my theory. I don't know this for sure, but that's my little theory. So that would be really exciting as well. But yeah, so it's a bit depressing being a fan right now, isn't it, everyone? Look, all I can say to you is that we're all on the same side. I know we have different opinions. I know I've been a bit toxic about Ray, and that is my initial reaction because I just want to look forward to these movies. I don't want these political situations within the fandom, within inside DC, and it's all public. And Marvel fans are just laughing at us, and I hate the fact that other fans get one up on us as well. It's all so embarrassing and difficult and problematic. But I want us as fans to unite. So as I say, yeah, I've been a bit toxic about Ray, but I'm a passionate guy. and I love my DC and I love my movies and TV shows. And I don't like people getting in the way of that. And Ray's getting in the way of that. And again, I'm not saying he's in the wrong. He's got his point of view and position as well. But we're the viewer, we're the consumer. We just want to stand and enjoy our movies. You know, under 2 months, Zack Snyder's Justice League. This bullshit shouldn't be part of the conversation. It should be part of us looking forward and getting excited. After 4 years, we're finally going to see this movie. And I am excited. And going forward, I want to talk about the content. I want to talk about the films and the TV shows. Let's hope we can be a bit more positive. But this Ray Fisher situation isn't going away. So let's see how it all develops. Comment down below, like, share and subscribe. And I'll be back tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. See you again soon.